Hi guys, today we're going to be making chicken pot pie from scratch. The only thing that we're not going to be making from scratch is our pie crust. So let's get started. If you guys have your printed recipe, go ahead and put that on the counter next to you. Otherwise, you can always use it on the computer since I have it underneath this video also. So the first thing we're going to do is make sure that we cook our chicken. My hands are nice and clean. I've already washed them at the sink. So I purchased chicken that is pre-cut. That is up to you. I just did it because they had a sale. So we're going to go ahead and put our butter in the pot, which it says in a 2-quart saucepan, melt butter over medium heat and add flour, onion, salt, and pepper. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. In a saucepan, we're going to take one of these. We're going to melt the butter, add the flour, and the salt and pepper. So I'm going to turn, hopefully you guys can see it. It's kind of hard doing this cooking video in my kitchen, but I'll do the best that I can. So we're going to add 2 tablespoons of butter. So we're going to add that and melt it. There's 1. There's 2, and I am not going to use this pan because I noticed it looked a little dirty. So I'm going to start over in a different pan. My next size pot is a little big, but it's clean. So we're going to go ahead and turn it on medium heat. I'll put my 2 tablespoons of butter and go ahead and let that melt. And then we're going to cut an onion and put that in there as well. So we talked about how to cut an onion in class today, so you probably don't want to watch me cut it. I'm going to get my cutting board, my onion, and my knife-safe gloves. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this up, and I'll see you in just a second. So my onion is completely chopped up, and I'm going to put that in my pot with the butter. And then it asks me to also add the flour, which is 1/3 cup. We're going to take 1 cup flour. And just like we learned in our other video, you're going to take a sharp object and push it over so it's level. I'm sorry it's not showing you all that. And I'm going to add that to my pot as well. And then add the salt and peppers. I need to get a wooden spoon to stir it. And then some salt and pepper. You can measure yours, or if you're comfortable with just how much you tend to like, you can go ahead and do it, whatever is your comfort level in the kitchen. Salt. We don't use much salt in our house, so I just put a little bit in there. And then we're going to go ahead and let that soak up a little bit, cook the onions. And then we're going to add the milk and the broth in. So you can see that, if you can look in my pot, it is just going to finish getting a little softer. So I'll be back as soon as that's done. It should take about a minute or 2. So I had to reread my recipe because I didn't think it looked quite right. So I only put 2 tablespoons of butter in, and I needed 1/3 of a cup. So I went back and had to add a little more. It's about 5.5 tablespoons. So you can see now, it's nice and bubbly. Everything's melted together and it's kind of chunking up a little bit, and the onions are clear, and so that's what we're looking for. So the next thing we're going to do in the recipe is add 2/3 cup milk and 2, let me just double check, and 1 3/4 cup chicken broth. Sorry, I have a hound dog and he howls sometimes. So I have my milk ready to go. So I'm going to add that. It says take it off the heat, so I shut my heat off. I'm going to add my milk, and I'm also going to add my chicken broth. So I do use dairy-free milk. You can use almond oil, or almond milk, or whatever works best for you. So I need 1 3/4 cup chicken broth. I'm going to measure that out with my liquid measuring cup. And if you go down, you're going to look at eye level. Some cups you can look at from the top, some you have to look at from the side. And then I'm going to go ahead and add that as well. And I'm going to mix that up. While I'm doing this, I'm also going to preheat the oven to 425. So that way when I'm ready to add my dinner into the oven, I made a little mess there. I'm ready to do that. So it says heat to boil, stir constantly. So we're going to turn it back on. And then boil for 1 minute. Stir in chicken and peas and carrots. So I'm going to cook my chicken before I put it in. That is up to you what you want to do. If you want to follow the recipe exactly, you're welcome to do that. I like to make sure that my chicken is cooked thoroughly. So I'm going to put this to the side, and then I'm going to start cooking my chicken. So I'm going to turn my pan on. Remember when I said you can always change up your recipes based upon your comfort level. So I'm going to cook the chicken. To do that, I'm going to put a little oil in the pan. You can also use butter. I have my pre-cut chicken, so I'm going to open the package very carefully. My oil is already on the stove, warming, and I'm going to add my chicken to my pan. You'll probably hear it, maybe a little sizzle. It's really important if you're touching chicken with your bare hands that you wash your hands immediately after, because chicken has got bacteria on it that you do not want to have on your hands. If the chicken, like mine, touched the counter, make sure you're washing the counter with something that is antibacterial to ensure you do not have bacteria on your countertops or stove. Wash my hands quick. And I'm going to cook the chicken. Your chicken needs to be cooked until the inside temperature is 165 degrees. So this is going to take me a couple minutes, and it's kind of boring to watch, so I'll be back as soon as my chicken is done cooking. So my oven is still heating. My chicken is almost done. And so I'm going to take my pie crust and a pan and make sure whatever you're using is going to be oven safe. A lot of people will use pie pans, which is just fine. And we are going to unroll our pie crust. So if you open this up, your pie crust should already be done for you. We're just going to gently unroll it. It does take a couple seconds to try and unroll the end. It's kind of sticky. So we're going to roll this out, and we're going to place it in our pot that we are going, our pan that we are going to put in the oven. So we're going to just make sure that it kind of fits in the bottom and up the sides. And because mine's not a pie shape, you'll see mine is over on the edge of two sides, and that's fine. I'm going to actually just cut that off by pushing on the side. And you can take any kind of object that is okay in the kitchen and just rub it against the side, and that crust will just fall right off. I don't know if you can see that. I'll try it again on the other side. I'm just going, you can use a butter knife or anything that is a kitchen utensil that is clean. Okay. So now our pie is ready for the insides. We just have to finish getting ready the chicken and our mixture to put in it. So we'll be back in just a couple minutes. So my chicken is done, and we are going to take this off the stove, which first thing you're going to do is turn the burner off. And I'm going to move this to another burner. And I'm going to take my mixture of what we cooked earlier with the onions and the chicken broth and milk, and put that on the stove and turn that back on to warm back up. And that should only take a few minutes to warm up because it hasn't been too long since we've cooked it. And we're going to add our frozen green peas and diced carrots. So it says about 10 ounces. I got a very large bag of frozen green peas and carrots. And so I'm going to actually just take a cup. So this is a half a cup. I'll need 2 of them. I'm going to put that in. I'm going to get my other half. Put that in. I'm going to mix that up. And my oven is still preheating. It's almost ready. So we're going to let this warm up a little bit. And then we're going to add our chicken. And put this back in the freezer. We don't want our frozen stuff to thaw out. So then we're also going to add our cooked chicken. So we need to be careful not to burn ourselves. So we are going to use oven pan mitts if you need to. We're just going to add that chicken right in here to our mixture. Put that in the sink. So now we're just going to let that get warm. Should only take a minute or 2. And we're going to put that mixture in our dish that has our pie crust in there. Let me just double check to make sure we don't have to put the pie crust in the oven. Heat roll 1/4 inch, ungreased, glass baking dish. Perfect. Okay, so I think we're good. Sometimes you need to put your pie crust in the oven before you put whatever food you're going to be cooking in there. I didn't see that in the recipe, so I think we're okay. So we are going to put our hot mixture that we cooked on the stove. I'm going to move the camera so you can see what I'm working on. So here's our pie crust and our pan. We are going to very gently pour our mixture into that. You can see it splatters, so we don't want to get burnt, so please be careful. I'm sorry if my arm is covering it. I'm trying not to. Okay. And then we're going to take our other pie crust and open this up, just like we did last time. We're going to unroll it. It's kind of sticky, so I'm going to make a bigger cut so it's easier to get it out. Okay. So we're going to carefully unroll this one just like we did the last one. And we're going to place it over the top of our pan, or of our baking dish. So that's okay if it gets in a little bit. You can tell it's been left out of the fridge for a while, so it is fine and it's getting kind of sticky, so it's hard to do. So you want to stretch it across if you can, so it is across the top. It's okay if little holes go in it because we're going to cut some holes anyway. It allows the pan to, or the dish to breathe, which is what we need to let steam out in the oven. So you can see how I just took a knife and gently cut off this extra. And then you can take and put little holes in here. Mine already has, as you can see, an opening, so I don't need that many holes to vent. And then to make that golden brown pie crust, what you're going to do, I'm going to throw that away. What you're going to do is take an egg and crack it. And then mix it up. I'm going to show you. You're going to crack an egg. Mix it up. And then you're going to take a pastry brush, or a lot of times you can use the same thing for if you grill, a grilling brush. And you're just going to brush gently across the top. You don't need a lot, just a little bit across the top. And then as it cooks, it's going to get that golden brown crust that's nice and just a little crunchy. It's just, I don't know how better to describe it. So we're going to put this, I'm going to throw the rest of that away, or I can give it to one of my pets. So you're going to gently put it in our oven. My oven's a mess right now. I'm getting a new one tomorrow. We're going to put it in our oven and let it cook until it's done, which should take about 35 minutes. So I also am going to put a liner underneath my pan so that way if anything boils over, it'll catch it and it won't burn. All right, we will see you in about 35 minutes. So it has been about 35 minutes and I'm getting my pot holders on my hands so that way I can safely pull our dinner out of the oven. So let's take a peek. Oh, and it looks delicious. So as you can see on the top, it's nice and golden brown and bubbly. So I'm going to leave this to cool a little bit and we're ready to have our dinner. I hope you guys had fun and made it as well. Bye.